Let's get this party started. The past couple days, we have seen some extreme death. Some people in the United States saying they feel as if the entire nation was exposed to a level of violence they were not supposed to have ever seen. And because of that, we are seeing a nation effectively attempting to deal with a collective PTSD event, basically. Everybody has seen Irina's footage by now. Charlie's blood is in the ground by now. It seeped through the soil beneath his chair and has stained the ground in a way that will probably haunt many Americans for a very long time. What we saw was not just the death of an individual, which is what I see. I have a lot of people who are like trying to put me on a side because they can't possibly fathom the fact that somebody can have no sides in this, so they have to put me on one while they proclaim that they're in none. But regardless, the USA is never going to be the same because what we saw was a symbol of something. It was a symbol of freedom being executed. It was a symbol of the Constitution being grossly violated. The rights of somebody being stolen from them along with their life for expressing the freedoms given to them by those rights. It was a heartless, random shanking of a young woman. It was the death of safety, of apparent safety. It was the death of the ability to safely say that nothing is going to happen to me if I ride the train or if I go to a university. It's the death of all of that. And if you guys can't see how horrible and devastating that is without attaching the word Republican or Democrat to it, you're feeding into the game. And I think a lot of you thought that that was the direction I was going with my last video. Many are cheering on this senseless act. They think it's funny. They're selling t-shirts of the scene with celebratory remarks. They're making signs and memes and writing songs about the murder of Charlie. They're having events trying to raise money for the murderer of Irina, and they're also trying to get her story taken off of the internet because it doesn't fit narratives. All that kind of stuff, guys. The enemy is rejoicing in the death that we have experienced over the past couple weeks. They believe that the heart of our strength is beginning to weaken and will soon stop beating, but they are sorely mistaken. They are wrong. Because these deaths are not an ending. These deaths are a summoning. It's a call. It's a trumpet blast cutting through the fog of war that has begun to take form over this once great land. It has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. It has nothing to do with man or woman necessarily, but it has something to do with the fact that we are all in danger now. The world is different now. We are all targets now. Celebrities, politicians. Wasn't that long ago that a couple Minnesota politicians were shot in their home? I mean, just look what's going on all over the world. But now even civilians, they're coming for us too. The psalmist said in Psalm 144, "Praise be to the Lord my rock who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. He is my loving God and my fortress, my stronghold and my deliverer, my shield in whom I take refuge, who subdues peoples under me." Lord, what are human beings that you care for them? Mere mortals that you think of them. They are like a breath. Their days are like a fleeting shadow. And the chapter goes on. From the deadly sword, deliver me. Rescue me from the hands of foreigners, whose mouths are full of lies, whose right hands are deceitful. Then our sons in their youth will be like well-nurtured plants, and our daughters will be like pillars carved to adorn a palace. Our barns will then be filled with every kind of provision. Our sheep will increase by thousands, by tens of thousands in the fields. Our oxen will draw heavy loads, and there will be no breaching of walls, no going into captivity, no cry of distress in our streets. Blessed is the people of whom this is true. Blessed is the people whose God is the Lord. Amen. Make no mistake, this fight is not simply chance, the wrong man at the wrong time. You're not wrong for caring about the death of Charlie Kirk or Irina Zarutska simply because they are red or blue or stand for this thing or that thing. You're not wrong to mourn the death of people, no matter what side they're on. You're also not wrong to mourn the symbols that they represent. And so all these people who tell you that you shouldn't care about this because of one reason or another, those people don't see what's going on. Those people do not see the big picture. They are so very focused on string pullers and prophecy and imagination and monsters in the woods that they forget that there is a real world around them that is not invisible, and that world demands their attention. There is the saying to be in the world and not of the world, and so we do have to be careful to be in the world and not of the world. But being in the world and not of the world does not mean that we don't give a shit about anything that happens here, and that we don't care about the death of people, and that we don't care about the loss of justice and freedom and morals. What kind of human being are you to even say that I should feel one way or another because of politics, because this man was a Freemason, or this chick had a Black Lives Matter thing in her thing? And like, who cares? These are human beings. And yet you people seem to think, you who are saying these things, not everybody listening, but you who are saying these things, you seem to think that somehow you are better than them, that somehow you are some way closer to the end than them, that you are somehow more than them. And you're not. You're not. And as a matter of fact, it sounds like you may be less than them. But I'm not here to rage against you guys. I'm here to rage against the machine. And I'm here to tell you that the war that we're experiencing now is not mere chaos or emotion, a product of the inability to maintain control of oneself. God himself forged your hands for an hour where you may need to use them for war. God himself set your fingers to the work of battle. The heroes may be gone, but the training remains. The war remains. The rock remains. The Lord remains. This will not be some half-war, something to be solved with discussions. This has a very strange, faint feeling of total war, in which every citizen is targeted. This is the meaning of the thing. In total war, everybody is considered a combatant. The enemy wants your land turned to immigrant housing, your blood soaked into the grounds of universities, your children stabbed on trains or confused about their own bodies, your faith eradicated and replaced with something more accepting of death and evil and misogyny. They will not stop until every single trace of what makes you you is gone. So understand, if they want total war, they will get total war. Because it seems that both sides are just raring to go, doesn't it? But this will destroy the nation. The United States we once knew is dead. It's gone. And you can already hear some out there calling for the deaths of us. This new America that we are trying to forge. And you are hopefully surrounded by people who reply, "Come and get us." Because those are the strong ones. And inevitably, the strong ones will be gotten. This will trigger nonstop war. There is no United States of America like the one that carved itself into reality under the great leadership of our founding fathers anymore. There is no nation on this planet that possesses such glory and direction. That is a thing of the past. But it could become a thing of the future again, probably long after we're all dead. Your grief for the tragic losses that we have endured should be used as fire for the future. It should be used to check yourself and look inward and see, am I prepared for what's to come? Spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, do I got the stuff together? Your courage should be present and hard as steel. Your hands trained by the Lord for this very moment. Your mouth should move with His word. For those that may have gotten a bad side of me, I apologize. I'm human and I fail. My mouth should move with His word. My feet should go where He puts me to travel. Psalm 94:16 says, "Who will rise up for me against the wicked? Who will take a stand for me against evildoers?" Ephesians 6:13, "Therefore take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm." Proverbs 28:1 says, "The wicked flee, though no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion." Isaiah 1:17, "Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow." And that one sounds like it was written specifically for this very moment, doesn't it? Psalm 82:4 says, "Rescue the weak and the needy, deliver them from the hand of the wicked." And of course, the one that has been on my heart and on my mind for a few weeks now in these strange and upside down days, Ecclesiastes 3:8. "A time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace." Welcome to the 21 CD podcast. Today we're going to talk about MKUltra and the possibility that Charlie Kirk's assassin and Irina Zarutska's assassin were actually operatives of one of the projects within or relating to MKUltra. What is MKUltra? I would encourage you guys to go and look at some of my videos on the matter. I have talked extensively on MKUltra. You could just go into my videos tab and search MKUltra. Something will pop up. Also, just watch the newest one. It's pretty good. But for those who don't have time to go and watch another video, let's just get through this real quick. MKUltra was, it wasn't just another CIA mind control experiment that may or may not have happened. That is a soft veil that is being used to protect you from the horrors of what it actually is, which was a state-funded program of psychological warfare, chemical torture, and human experimentation that blurred the line between medicine and sadism and science and occult ritual. Okay, it was launched officially in 1953 under the CIA, of course, and it was the child of paranoia and ambition because essentially the USA could not possibly be outdone during the Cold War by the Soviet or the Chinese, and it appeared that they were beginning to develop super soldiers who were mind-controlled and were unable to effectively be cracked during interrogation. So I'm going to save you all of the weird background, even though it is fascinating and you should take a look. But essentially, the CIA began to go into all of these universities and all of these hospitals and all of these places where young people gather, concerts and stuff like that. And they began to recruit into this program. And the program was supposed to be something that special people would join up in, right? But gradually it went into, the CIA moved on to like taking prisoners and then just people against their will. And then soon people didn't even know what was some people didn't even know what was happening to them because they were just, it was too late by the time, and then other people, like the person who killed Martin Luther King Jr., he will say that he was fully out of his mind and that he wasn't in any control whatsoever. And that is exactly the point of MKUltra. What they wanted to create was a super soldier, which doesn't mean like super strong like Captain America. It means it's a spy/assassin that can be turned on and off, and also can be switched between multiple personalities and can be controlled like a remote control to do certain things based on the certain cues that they're given. So something to think about would be a cue could be a song. When a song plays, the MKUltra agent who has been brainwashed and traumatically violated for years now, and has split personality now and is very loyal to the CIA and is under a state of semi-permanent hypnosis. They hear the song and they remember the training. The training was forced upon them, of course, in their brains, but the training is kill. And so now they will perform an assassination. Let's assume they get caught. Now they will switch into a different identity, and that identity knows nothing of what just happened. The assassination, anything. They have nothing to say because they weren't there, because their other personality was. If you've ever seen the movie Split, that's basically what a perfect MKUltra victim looks like, except under control most of the time with triggers that set them off, okay? And this is not a conspiracy theory. This actually happened. Many schools, individuals, victims, universities, and all sorts of people have come forth and said, absolutely, this is real. And then when they were caught in the act, it was crucified in the media. The CIA was obliterated for this, and they released some of the documents which have released the information that I just gave to you. But it is important to note that we have like 0.1% of all the documents of MKUltra. So considering what I just told you, imagine the other horrors that might be hovering around this turd. So take all of that into consideration and understand that hypnosis and triggers are the things that, like a gun, when you pull them, the machine reacts, right? Like a trigger. You pull it, the gun fires. In this case, on an MKUltra victim, you say a word, you play a song, a sound, a sequence, a code. It could be anything. It could be a cell phone, and then they just say, peanut butter jelly time, bitch. And that's just what you were indoctrinated, and your personality switches, and now you're in kill mode. And I know this sounds bizarre, guys. I know this sounds bizarre, but this is real. So let's apply this to a very interesting murder that recently happened. The murder on the train. Irina Zarutska. When we watch this footage, and I'm not going to watch the footage again, we've all seen the footage by now, it's absolutely horrible and I'm sick of it. But that individual who murdered her, like an MKUltra agent, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is weird. This is very, very, very strange. This is not normal. This is abnormal. This is unnatural. And then when I read that he had called the police and told them that he felt like there was something inside him controlling him, that's when my MKUltra stuff really started pinging, going off, and I began to realize that this was more than just a regular murder, perhaps. And everybody can go ahead and blame mental disorder and all that kind of stuff. Personally, I believe that so many mental disorders have been simply made up because there have been that many brainwash victims and MKUltra style brainwashing experiments that have been done on human beings, that we have actually developed so many problems that now they have to give a name to them, but they caused them all through this weird series of experiments that they are still running. And oftentimes you will even hear them openly talk about how they're running them, but they're humane now, which makes no sense, okay? So let's just say that September 11th is in a week or two, and you're trying to kick something off because the Epstein files have been really, haunting you lately. And there's war in Europe, and there's war in the Middle East, and you're stroking Netanyahu day and night, and the people are beginning to hate you. The stock market is in shambles, the jobs are not showing up, the crime not really getting lower. What do? We need to shake this thing up. We need to open up this pit, as they say. So, MKUltra is not owned by the Democrats. MKUltra is owned by the government. So, as much as we would like to say that one side is more evil than the other because they have MKUltra is a federal asset. It's a federal program. Therefore, it is owned and run and operated and used and profited with by the government. And who's in charge right now? Now listen, I'm not making a political statement here. You guys need to put your adult brains on. You need to think about how this is what a way to do it. What a way to do it. So if you MKUltra activate the guy who killed the Ukrainian on the bus, right? Irina Zarutska. Because that looked like an MKUltra assassination. And it looked like he was allowed to continue to roam, which is what you would allow an MKUltra assassin to do. You would continually get them off of their crimes because they're out of their mind, literally, but they have to stay out there because they're an asset. Even if they're not valuable financially, what they are valuable for is causing a ruckus or turning a page in history. So, you kill Martin Luther King Jr., you kill JFK, you kill Irina Zarutska, you kill Charlie Kirk. So he kills the Ukrainian woman. She dies. And everybody's violently enraged because it's black on white crime. Everybody is violently enraged because for some reason the left all of a sudden tries to start taking down the Wikipedia page talking about her death. And all of a sudden the left wants nothing to do with this story because it's black on refugee crime, and that just doesn't really have a place in our timeline, in our narrative here. That doesn't fit anybody's bubble. But the Republicans love this secretly. The Republican leaders love this secretly because, and I'm just speaking here, okay? I'm not masterminding this or saying this is for sure what happened, any of that. I'm not putting any accusations. I'm playing Game of Thrones in my brain with this series of unfortunate events, and you go ahead and you just say if you think that maybe not. Who cares? I don't care what your opinion is anyway, because you're probably just going to be mean to me about it. But if that would happen, and just as we're beginning to get over that traumatic event, which we were all allowed to watch on TV, by the way, that's pretty strange. The fact that the whole thing was broadcasted for so long to every corner of the universe is strange. Murders usually are not broadcasted like that. Murders usually are not shown. They wanted us to see it. They wanted us to see it. And that's the fact of the matter. They wanted us to see that. And then as we're just getting over it, what happens? Charlie Kirk is killed at a university. Wearing a white freedom shirt, shot in the neck by an assassin. A shot that was not entry level, with a rifle that was heavy, not entry level. This was a coordinated event. It had multiple decoys. It had a getaway scheme. There were multiple arrests, people who took the fall, and people who got away. People who didn't report rooftop activities. All sorts of stuff going on, right? But regardless, that individual was a trained assassin. He wasn't just some cop's kid and nothing more. Cops' kids and nothing more don't just become assassins overnight. Cops' kids and nothing more don't typically turn out to be anti-freedom of speech to the point where you're going to literally kill somebody, murder somebody in cold blood, right? Normal people don't do that. Have you ever had that urge? Have you ever said to yourself, man, tomorrow I might just get up on a roof and shoot somebody with a high-powered rifle? Have you ever said that? Right, because normal people don't. This was not a normal kid. This was a kid who was paid to go to college. This was a kid who was given a very big scholarship. They wanted him at the university. They wanted him indoctrinated. They took advantage of him, potentially. And just like every other MKUltra assassin, he didn't even know it was happening until it happened. And now he's probably sitting in jail, and if he is an MKUltra victim, he's probably like, what happened? What is going on? And he's probably wondering if anybody who trained him or helped him in any way is going to come save him, right? And who knows? Maybe they will get him because maybe he is a federal agent. Maybe he is an asset. But effectively now, what has happened is all attention has been taken off of everything else, and a race and a party war have begun, and it is also seemingly time now for some form of revolution. Everybody seems to be saying something like that, or at least civil war. Revolution's the wrong word, I'm sorry. Civil war. Everybody seems to be thinking that some kind of purge or civil war should happen now. There should be a public execution, and everybody is fully on board with the right, and a lot of prominent left-leaning figures are switching sides, and effectively, congratulations, you have now turned the public in your favor, and you will win the next election. Good luck, Democrats. Good luck, Gavin. I'm just saying, this is a truly Game of Thrones move if these are MKUltra assets. Before we go, I want to tell you a story. Jesus was walking around, doing what Jesus does, talking to the crowds and his disciples. And he started talking to the Pharisees too. And he said, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you. But do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders. But they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make their phylacteries wide and their tassels on their garments long. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and to be called rabbi by others. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth father, for you have one Father, and he's in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. So woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. Woe to you, teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites! You travel over land and sea to win a single convert, and when you have succeeded, you make him twice as much of a child of hell as you are. Woe to you, blind guides! You say, if anyone swears by the temple, it means nothing. But anyone who swears by the gold of the temple is bound by that oath. You blind fools, which is greater, the gold or the temple that makes the gold sacred? You also say, if anyone swears by the altar, that it means nothing, but anyone who swears by the gift on the altar is bound by that oath. You blind men, which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? Therefore, anyone who swears by the altar swears by it and everything on it. And anyone who swears by the temple swears by it and the one who dwells in it. And anyone who swears by heaven swears by God's throne and the one who sits on it. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give 1/10 of your spices, but you have neglected the more important matters of the law: justice, mercy, faithfulness. You should have protected the latter without neglecting the former. You blind guides, you strain out a gnat, but you swallow a camel. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but the inside, they're full of greed and self-indulgence. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, blind Pharisees! First, why don't you clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside also will be clean? Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside you are full of the bones of the dead and every type of unclean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to people as righteous, but on the inside you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build tombs for the prophets and decorate the graves of the righteous, and you say, if we had lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have taken part with them in shedding the blood of prophets, and yet you testify against yourselves that you are the descendants of those who murdered the prophets. So go ahead then and complete what your ancestors started, you snakes, you brood of vipers. How will you escape being condemned to hell? Therefore, I am sending you prophets, and I'm sending you sages and teachers, and some of them you will kill and crucify, and others you will flog in your synagogues and pursue from town to town. And so upon you will come all the righteous blood that has been shed on earth, from the blood of righteous Abel to the blood of Zechariah, son of Berechiah, whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. Truly, I tell you, all this will come on this generation. Pray with me for a moment. Father God, please forgive me for the hatred that I have thought in my head, that I've spoken with my words, that I've written with my hands over the course of these past few days, and please guide us to a fruitful future of peace and love and your grace. Amen. The life is in the blood.